For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Well, hello again. As we go through the month of October, we are glad to invite back to the show a lady by the name of Amy Smith from St. Clair County Community Mental Health. And you've got a project which is coming up in November we wanted to highlight, but talk to me about what group you're involved with this time.
This time? Okay. Well, I am here today to talk about the Housing Summit, which is coming up November 15th. So the Housing Summit, actually, let me kind of backtrack, it's sponsored by the St. Clair County Community Services Coordinating Body, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, is 70 different agencies and organizations and community citizens that come together to work on large-scale issues that no particular agency organization group can manage.
Are those only in St. Clair County, that 70 people?
Yes, that's our county's collaborative group. Yep.
Wow.
So the membership varies from transportation and schools and law enforcement and nonprofit organizations, like I said, some citizens. Community Mental Health is one of those organizations that of those 70, but we have a wide variety. So through the Community Service Coordinating Body, like I said, we focus on gaps in our community. One of them is housing and homelessness.
Yep.
So our work group, which we have our specific goals, but our focus really is to help prevent people from becoming homeless initially. If they do become homeless, what kind of supports can we put in place to help them get housed and then to stay permanently housed? So that's our whole continuum of what this work group focuses on, and we do a lot of different projects throughout the year. This year we are sponsoring a housing summit called Housing Summit from Homeless to Housed, Community-Driven Solutions. And the reason we're doing that is because the work group itself, we can't help manage this whole housing crisis that we're involved in. It's not just St. Clair County, it's statewide, it's national.
Right.
So what can we do to help people in our community come together and help as much as possible?
Is there a large population of homeless in St. Clair County?
We had housing issues before the pandemic, but with the pandemic and then, the moratorium that was put on, people couldn't be evicted, and there was a lot of COVID funding that helped support people stay in their homes. All of that now has been spent. The moratorium has been lifted. Landlords want to be paid,
and they
rightly
should be.
so, and they should be, exactly. So yes, now we're seeing kind of the backlash of all of that. People now, because if they're not employed or they have other issues going on and they don't have the income, rents have jumped, almost tripled, in some places, so they can't afford their rent anymore. So yeah, we are seeing kind of the ripple effect of all of that. A lot of landlords also, have turned their property into a single family home and have sold it because property values have gone up so much.
Yep.
So there's a lot of issues
A lot of
that
variables.
have caused it. Exactly. So now we need to look at what can we do to kind of help those people who are really struggling, help support the landlords, but so people aren't living on the street or out in tents
In their cars.
In their cars. It's Michigan. It's getting cold.
Yeah.
So we want to try and address that as much as we can. And so it's got to be a community that's going to pull together.
So the Housing Summit on Tuesday, November the 15th from 8:30 till noon. What will be happening there during the event?
So this event is going to be totally virtual.
Oh.
And so people can just register online, and I think if you have the little icon up, the little QR code, they can zoom in on that, or they could call Community Mental Health and we can help them get registered. But so we'll start with doing a little quiz. What do people know about housing and homelessness, and what does it entail? and the familiarity. So the whole purpose of the seminar is to help educate our community to the facts. So we'll do that. Then we've put together a PowerPoint that I have helped create that has a lot of our local data, and kind of with all of that. And what does HUD, the Housing Urban Development, what do they define as homeless? And what are couch surfers or the precariously housed, and how are they bouncing around? What about our students who through the McKinney-Vento program, and what numbers are they coming up with that are struggling with bouncing around, which will affect their education?
Correct.
So we have a lot of that local data that we've included in the PowerPoint. And then we have a video with 5 individuals who actually have been homeless, and what that struggle has entailed and how they've worked their way out of homelessness, so that it's not the stereotyped, drug addict who just wants to live on the street. There are reasons why people end up homeless, and sometimes you're surprised to hear that. It could be
and it's not necessarily a mental health issue that they end up on the street.
Excuse me.
It could be other issues.
In the video, we have an elderly couple who they had trees fall on their house in a storm.
Oh, jeez.
Put holes in their roof, and they didn't have any money. They tried to fix it themselves, and it just became condemned. And because the husband ended up having severe health issues and was in a facility, that's the reason they got help and got out of that situation. We have one who had an injury at work. He had a full-time job, was making a lot of money, and was hit by another BILO. Guy wasn't paying attention and ran over him. And, so it's not just someone who's got severe mental illness and or a substance user.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then we have our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Matthew Desmond. He wrote a Pulitzer Prize book called The Evicted, and if anybody hasn't read it, it is a really good read. It talks about, in large cities, kind of the cycle that people get caught into when they have to rent a home and are evicted, and then what that does and puts them on the downward spiral, because evictions go on your record. So then you have a hard time getting a job or getting a credit or, things like that. So that is a very good book.
Is there is there an admission price?
There is $25. And then you register, and you'll be sent a code, and it's a Zoom, so you can sit at home in your pajamas and your cup of coffee and join us. Yes. And then we're going to wrap up with a panel discussion. And the panel will be kind of looking at what in St. Clair County are our current issues, and what are we doing to move forward, and how can you as a community member jump on board and help us.
I've heard over the last couple of years of a homeless problem with students in the local high schools. And I know that people are trying to do something about that, but this is bigger. This is the whole families you're talking about.
Exactly.
And it's rural and suburban and city people. It's all over.
Correct. I mean, one of the stories you'll hear about is a woman who was caught in a domestic violence situation. So by fleeing her abuser and to save her child, because otherwise protective services could have been called.
Right.
And so doing that, and then by leaving the abuser, she has nothing.
Yeah, no money, no income.
No money, no anything. So how do you get reestablished? And what does that look like? Yes, you're right. And the schools, in all of the schools in our county, they are working with RISA, and it's through a McKinney-Vento Act. And so there's money available to help them also, connect with support.
That's great. Great.
So again, the whole focus is to help educate our community so that we can protect those who are struggling, help house those who are homeless, so that they don't have to die in the inclement weather.
I mean, we're also busy in our own personal lives. We don't think about this side of the subject, this part of the story.
Right. And I think stereotypes also kind of, oh, they're homeless, they must be drug addicts,
right.
Or,
Stay away from them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, yes.
So it's Tuesday, November the 15th, 8:30. After the elections are all over, no more signs in the lawns.
Exactly.
8:30 till noon. And where is it? Oh, he said it's virtual.
It's virtual,
Yeah,
yes. So we are actually going to even tape our panel discussion, and everything will just be right there virtual and easy. Like I said, sit at home and drink your coffee and stay in your slippers and stay warm and watch the video.
That's great.
Yeah, and
Evicted.
get the book Evicted. It will help kind of put things into perspective about how an eviction can, affect a family.
Yep. Okay.
And children.
Amy, you do good work.
Why, thank you.
Let me remind
thank you.
people, as I mentioned, that there's an election coming up. These are the ballots from Marine City and the ballot from St. Clair, the sample ballots, and I just wanted to put them up and show people that on the face of both of these are the party tickets, the governor, all the county or the state offices, including the school boards for Michigan State and Wayne State and all the universities. But on the back of each ballot is the local elections, local judges, and if there's any council chambers or mayors or any of those races, and of course the three ballot proposals that are getting so much press. So it's a simple ballot, just two sides. Make sure when you vote you turn it over and get both sides done, and it'll be all over soon. We can take all those signs out of our lawns and make our lawns look nice again.
There you go. And commercials on television will be
commercials on
something
television,
all other than
we'll be able to see some
politicians.
TV for a change.
Yes.
Amy, thank you for coming in. You always have some information. It's November, a housing summit, a very important topic, subject, Tuesday, November the 15th, 8:30 till noon, and just register online. So.
Just register online, yep. Or call Community Mental Health, 810-985-8900.
8900.
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Terrific.
That's about it for this edition of the Focus program. Thanks very much for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Paul Dingeman. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Focus with Paul Dingeman. Focus is produced at the CTV Community Television Studios in St. Clair. For over 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter to our community.